to clean up Harrisburg's mess.
In 2003, there was about $100 million of debt outstanding. Within 4 years, there was $326 million on an incinerator that probably could carry $100 million if it was operating properly.
That debt crippled Harrisburg, which Unkovic says scrambled for cash wherever it could find it. For example, he says, to make extra money, the city started overcharging sewer customers for administration costs, while it let century-old pipes collapse.
So it's not unusual in Harrisburg to have these huge sinkholes appear, directly related when you trace through all the money to incurring all this debt for the incinerator.
The former mayor actually used some of the money from the incinerator bonds for other projects. How was he able to do that?
By moving money around in different funds. I can't tell you what money he moved where, other than he did. So, for example, if you want to do something like start a museum, you know, rather than going to city council and putting $500,000 in the budget, you issue bonds for an incinerator, and you take a portion of that bond issue to get money for a purpose that he may not be able to get approved if he just goes through the normal budgeting process.
That doesn't seem legal, is it?
I don't know. I mean, it's certainly questionable.
As a member of city council, you voted for the incinerator debt.
Yes, I did.
Was that a bad idea?
As it was sold to us, no. We hired our own professional consultants who told us that it would be able to pay for itself.
Clearly you regret that vote now.
I regret it to the tune that we relied on our consultants.
One thing her city council did do was stop Reed from using any money from that incinerator bond issue to pay for other projects.
No authority fees, funds, funding, or income shall be applied to purchase artifacts or to benefit any city, museum, or related project.
The situation had gone from fiscal tragedy to farce. While the council scuttled Reed's plan for a $30+ million National Sports Hall of Fame next door to the baseball stadium, the city did go along with a facelift to the ballpark itself, which would send taxpayers deeper in debt. Follow this one. Harrisburg sold the Senators at a $7 million profit, but then turned around and borrowed $18 million for stadium upgrades.
Do you take some of the blame here?
My responsibility started back then. I began to sound the alarm about this leadership. And the final responsibility I took on was I ran against him and unseated him.
A private citizen since 2010, Reed did not respond to our multiple interview requests over several weeks via phone and email. So we dropped by his house and the building where he has an office.
He's not in the office right now.
Within hours, Reed contacted us by email. He claimed his various tourism initiatives boosted Harrisburg's economy, and that he did nothing wrong to pay for them. As for the incinerator, Reed noted it, quote, was approved by all governing bodies. He also wrote he had a workable plan to wipe out the incinerator debt, but that, quote, city council stopped the process dead in its tracks. He turned down our request to speak with him on camera.
You know, he won't talk to us. Was he a bad guy?
He's likable, a very smart man, and the taxpayers believed in his leadership and they trusted in him.
And he left them with a mess. The question now, how to deal with it. Unkovic, the state-appointed receiver, put together his plan to pay back the debt by, among other things, raising Harrisburg's earned income tax and leasing out some of its parking garages. Mayor Thompson got behind that plan. Controller Dan Miller and the city council, however, don't think Harrisburg residents should be the only ones making concessions at this point. They want a bankruptcy court to sort it all out.
So what do you say to people who say, hey, that's a cop-out?
The reality is, you know, you can only get so much blood from a turnip.
But this man doesn't want to hear it. He's Dominic Frederico, the CEO of Assured Guarantee, which has insured the Harrisburg bonds. That means Assured will have to pay off the investors to the extent Harrisburg fails to. Is your view that on these bond deals, even if the project goes kaput, that the government is still on the line to pay what's due?
They make us an absolute promise to pay. Right? Full faith and credit is the term that's, you know, typically used.
So they're on the line for it.
If you give me your full faith and credit, are you on the line?
Of course.
Okay.
Last October, the council filed for bankruptcy, but its petition was rejected because Thompson, the mayor, refused to sign it. Now Miller is running against her in next year's primary. Dave Unkovic, on the other hand, is done tending to Harrisburg, resigning in frustration.
We're at a point now today where you literally could not kick the can down the road. It's so broken that you just need to deal with the problem.
Now?
Yeah, now, yes.
Up next, the battle over pensions and benefits. Fox Business Network's Lou Dobbs with that story after the break.